welcome to chair yoga class. All you need for chair yoga is a chair, and I'm sitting on my dining room chair, which is a little bit taller than like the folding chairs that we might have at the gym. But whatever chair you've got, you're just going to sit close enough to the edge that you feel like you can put your feet flat on the floor. So for some people that'll be farther back. I have to sit a little bit closer. And then you're just going to let your spine find a neutral position. I like to rest my palms on my knees. You can rest, like if you want to cup your palms and rest one hand inside the other, you can do it that way. And so just pause for a moment, take a couple deep breaths. Now, if you have a chair that rolls around and you can secure the wheels, do that. It'll be helpful to have a little bit more stable chair. So you're going to breathe in as deep as you can, expand the ribs, expand the belly. And with your exhale, just let yourself relax. Let the air flow out in its own time. You can close your eyes if that's helpful. If it helps, you can leave your eyes open a bit. Go right down into the very, very bottoms of the lungs. One more big breath. Exhale out a big ah. And then you're going to drop your chin. Try not to let your spine bow forward. Keep yourself a little bit tall through the upper back, and then roll the head up and over one shoulder. Now you can go all the way to the back if you want to. I like to stop right where I feel that stretch along the side of the neck and then go back to the center. Sometimes feels a little crunchy for me to go all the way back. And some people have a longer neck and it really feels uncomfortable to let the head kind of loll backwards. So that's up to you. But just roll one side to the other, kind of feeling all the muscles in the neck as you go along. Now sometimes like I'll find a tight spot like right there, and I might pause and let that lengthen a little bit. And then find it on the other side, do the same thing. So just go back and forth about 3 more times, finding the little spaces that might need your attention. And go slow enough with the movement that you don't cause trouble for yourself. The slower you move, the more time you have to respond by adjusting. Okay, so then once you're finished on both sides evenly, let your head float back up. We're going to turn and look as far back behind as we can without turning the torso. Come on back to the center. This is just the neck, just the head turning. Look over the opposite shoulder. We're going to do that twice more. Just look over one shoulder. Keep the chin level if you can. Coming back. Look over the opposite shoulder. And then one more time on each side. And then once you're even, you get back to the middle, you're going to pause. Let your arms dangle, and we're going to roll the shoulders up, around, and back. And you want to try to get the shoulder blades to make the biggest range of motion they will. So go forward, around, and back. Forward, around, and back. And we're going to do that about 3 more times. Go in this direction. And I'm trying to feel my shoulder blades come off to the sides, scoop around towards the center. So I'm trying to make that big circle with my shoulder blades. The arms are along for the ride. Now when you get to the bottom, go the other direction. Bring it forward, back and around. Forward, back and around. This feels so nice. I love shoulder circles. So just keep going around and around in a nice circle. Couple more rounds, about 3. I use the word couple instead of few often, which I really don't mean to. I should change that. All right. So when you get to the bottom, you're going to draw the shoulder blades towards each other, open up the chest, and then let it all relax. Shake out one arm. So it doesn't matter which arm, just pick one and give it a shake. Now we're going to start with a fairly decent sized circle, as big a circle as your range of motion allows for. Just circle it about 2 more times. And And then hopefully you've got enough room in your house, so whatever range of motion, either your shoulder or your current circumstances of home arrangement allow, do some big circles. Okay, then we're going to take it to a kind of a medium-sized circle, and I like to bend the elbow and try this with my hand adjusted in different directions. Thumb up, thumb down, bent elbow, straight arm. Go the other direction. Oh. Just slightly changes the way the muscle is working when I change the arm. All right, so then we're going to make a teeny, teeny, tiny circle. Try to move from the shoulder rather than from the hand or the wrist. Go the other direction. Tiny circle, tiny circle. You're going to feel that right there on the top of the shoulder. Keep going, even though it might burn. Keep going. One more. All right, shake that arm out. Oh. Now, here's the fun part. So hang both your arms and see if you feel the difference in that arm we just did. Sometimes for me, the shoulder feels more relaxed. The whole arm feels nice and long. And there might even be like a sense of kind of effervescence or lightness to the arm. So let's do the other side. Again, we're going to shake it. And then just noticing any tension in your muscle, you're going to take your arm through a nice big range of motion that doesn't knock your plants over. Or smack your dog in the head. Whatever you got going on around you. Two more. And then you're going to switch directions. So we're going to go the opposite way. Oh, nice big circles. You might not be able to see my fingers. They might be going out of screen, but hopefully you still got the idea. One more. All right, so then we're going to switch to that medium circle, and again, you can change the positioning of the arm. And then switch directions and go the other direction with the arm. And then we're going to do little teeny tiny circles, just the whole arm, ignoring that burn in the top of the shoulder. Go the other direction. It's probably good for us. Who knows? You want to feel the muscle working. All right, shake out that arm. All right, and then compare your two arms and just see, do they kind of feel a little bit more like they're neutral? All right, so we're going to spread the fingers out really wide and curl them in really tight. Spread them out really wide, give them a little jiggle, and curl them in really tight. Spread them out big like you've got lightning bolts shooting out of your fingers. Pew, pew, pew. And then squeeze them in. Stretch them out really wide. Oh, wider, a little bit more. And then squeeze them in nice and tight, a little bit tighter, a little bit tighter. And then you're going to let them go and kind of almost like you're playing piano. Just like, oh, wiggle them out. All right, so you're going to lace your fingers together and we're going to make little waves with the wrists. And don't worry about this being too smooth. Just make whatever shape you can make. And then go the other direction. Don't think about it. And just let yourself go. Okay. Then we're going to stop in the name of love and give that wrist a little love by pulling back on the hand. You can put your hand on your palm or on the fingers. Push out through the bottom of the arm. Ooh, one more breath there. That feels so good. You can include the thumb or leave it out. And then take the wrist the opposite direction. So you're sort of stretching across the top. All right, give that guy a shake. Oh. All right, so the other hand, stop in the name of love and then pull back. Give yourself that stretch in your wrist. You're pushing out through the bottom of the arm, pulling back through the hand. You can put your thumb involved or you can leave the thumb kind of hanging out to the side. Oh, it feels good. One more. Then you're going to drop the hand and try to stretch this top part of the arm. I put my thumb under here and then I pull with my other fingers. Okay, last breath there, reaching out through the top of the arm. And then let that guy go and see how that went. So usually that makes my hands and my wrists feel really lovely, and you can just take that little chunk of this and when you're working on your computer at home or when you're sewing, you can stop every half an hour, hour or so and do just the little hand and wrist bits, and that can be really lovely. So we're going to do some seated cat-cows. So you're going to arch the spine so that the hip goes back and the chest goes forward. So you're tilting the pelvis forward, and then we're going to tilt the pelvis backward and round. And if you run into your chair, just scooch forward a little bit. So coming forward with the cat and going back. Squeeze the belly button back as best you can. And forward and back. And forward and back. 2 more. Forward, open the chest if you can while we get there, and then go back. And 1 more time. Forward, open that chest, and go back. Okay, when we sit up tall, we're going to do washing machine. So you're just going to turn your waist, and this is old-fashioned washing machine, I guess. Now that we've got the front loaders, this is a little different. So we're just going to go side to side, side to side. Agitation. And the arms are long for the ride. I'm turning from the waist. That's the most important part. Hips are nice and stable. Now you're going to pick a side and pause. So get a little taller. Root through your feet, root through your sit bones. See if you can get that upper part of your back to twist a little bit more. You can put a hand down wherever it lands. You can grab the back of your chair if that's available. And then you can look over your shoulder or look over the other shoulder. Just keep your head more neutral. Let your neck guide you. So that upper back is doing the most part of the twist, and it kind of comes down my lower back, just doing a tiny bit of the twist. Sit up nice and tall. Last big breath. And then you're going to unwind head, shoulders, and everything else. Pause in the center. Do little windshield wipers, well, or a washing machine, a little cat-cow. Oh, just some nice little movement. Okay, so you'll notice that your spine sort of felt like it was still turning. What we're doing is kind of waiting it out. We're letting the fluid flow back into the discs so that it feels a little more neutral. Mine feels pretty good. So then I'm going to go ahead and twist the opposite direction. Now, root down through your sit bones, lift up nice and tall. See if that upper back wants to take you around. Put a hand on the chair, on your leg. You can grab around across the knee. And again, we're kind of letting the upper back guide us into the twist. Everything else follows along. Nice deep breaths. Keep the sit bones nicely rooted. You're not trying to pull your hip down. You're just trying to keep tall, right? So we've got going down and going up action. And the twist handles itself. If you feel like you're lifting up off your sit bone, you're trying to twist too much. Your back doesn't have that much range of motion. Just come back a little bit. And take 1 more big breath. And then we're just going to peel this out. Head, shoulders, middle of the back, and the lower back. And then give yourself a little bit of time just to let that rinse out. So you're going to take the legs out wide, and I scooch a little bit further forward for this just so I'm kind of a little more on the edge of the chair. And we're going to do a kind of blown palm. So, palm in a very gentle hurricane. So taking your palm fronds over one direction and taking them over the other direction. You can also just refer to this as side bending. So over one way, hopefully you can see that. And over the other. I'm using my leg. It's sort of like a side angle pose, actually. And so we'll pause in a moment. We'll turn it into that. So we're kind of getting in that direction. Go a little bit more this way, and one more time going this way. So now, this was my first direction, so I'm going to pause there. I'm going to take this one leg and stretch it all the way out and just sort of turn a little bit so that I'm now a little bit more into that side angle shape. And then hold steady. You can roll the rib cage up and then roll it back. You can try to lengthen right here, kind of leaning back into it and stretching. Press your foot into the ground so that it feels like you're almost trying to lift yourself up off the chair. The elbow's really light on the thigh here because I'm using my core to hold myself. And then 1 more big breath there. All right, so we're going to come back to the middle. We're going to bring the knee back to the center. Pause for a moment and feel. It might be a little different feeling on one side. Sometimes it even feels like one of my eyes has gotten a little bit bigger. That I find fascinating. So we'll do the other side. So I'm going to start just with this blown palm or side bend shape. Then I'm going to take this leg and snake it out all the way straight. Press the foot down into the floor. So angle your toes so that your foot will press down. Then as you come in, you're going to stretch out. We're stretching through this front hip. Oh, push the feet down into the ground. Lift a little bit through your whole torso. It's almost like you're trying to stand up off the chair, but you're not. You're just going to go as close, to feeling all that engagement as you can, still stay seated. Oh, this feels so good. It's one of my favorites. Oh, take 2 more breaths. And then we'll come all the way up. Oh, bring that leg back around. Take a moment, kind of rinse everything out. Oh, that feels nice. All right, guys, we're gonna grab one leg. You're gonna pick it up. You're gonna hold it with one hand on the foot and one hand on the knee. And then we're gonna rock this guy back and forth. It's called rock your baby. Some people can put that into their arms like a baby. I'm gonna just hold with my hands. I like the room to have the movement in my hip. So if I pull it in too tight, I don't get as much range of motion. And so we're gonna take a nice big inhale and then exhale. You're gonna see if you can cross this leg over top of the thigh. Now for some people this is too much. It's gonna cause too much stress. So you can take the leg down across your shin instead. So as long as it's going across the leg, we're still getting this external rotation of the femur bone at the hip socket. That's science talk, but in any case, when we get that, we are pulling on a muscle in the under the glute that is a stress muscle. It's a fight or flight muscle, and so giving a little stretch to that can be nice. If you have sciatica, sometimes that muscle is responsible. It can also be other issues, but this might be a stretch that will work for you. Now, if you have sciatica and it's muscle related and you first stretch, you're gonna notice that when you first start to stretch a muscle like this, that initially things feel more intense because you're pulling on a muscle that's pushing on your nerve. So the experiment is stay for at least 1.5 minutes, even as much as 2 minutes in the stretch. So if the chair version works well, cool. You can also do it laying on your back so that you can see if during that time period it goes from being more intense to being less intense. If it does, then this is a good method, a good stretching possibility for you. If you never find any relief when you've held it for that 2-minute mark, then it may not be the right option for you. You might need to find other ways and work with a physical therapist because they're the bomb. And they're actual doctors and not just an art student. So, which is what I am. So you're gonna take hold of this leg, we're gonna pick it up and hold onto it, and then you're gonna spin your foot so we can get some little ankle circles going. And then go the other direction with your little ankle circles. We're gonna point and flex. Good. Now, we're going to take hold of this foot. Either grab your big toe or stay with the hands on the back of the leg and just extend your leg as best you can. So we stretch out the back of the leg. Pull your toes back, spread them out if you've got availability for it. Sit up a little taller if it's available. Oh, that feels so nice. Take one more breath. And then release the leg. Give that leg a little shimmy. Put it down beside your friend. So now you've got your 2 legs hanging out with each other again, and feel the legs. I would swear to you that this leg is farther out than this one. Like this knee extends further out. And my pelvis is neutral. It just feels longer. It's not, but it feels that way. So we're gonna grab the other leg. So that's pleasant for me. If it's pleasant for you, good. If it was sore, then when you do this leg, do it a little differently. So you might rock your baby just by going back and forth like that with your toe on the ground. So let's see if we can't give this baby a little hug, put it up on top, maybe it goes down across your shin, sit up nice and tall. You might be able to hinge forward and fold over the leg, you might just stay up. You're gonna judge that based on how much sensation you feel down here around your hip and glute. And then nice deep breaths. This is essentially a pigeon pose. It's a seated version of the pigeon. Okay, so we're gonna take a nice big breath, let ourselves float up. We're gonna let that leg go, hang on to the thigh, and spin your foot in circles. Oh, you can stretch it out if you want to, too. I always do the foot circles first. Well, not always. Sometimes I forget. Go the other direction. But when I remember, I do it. And then you're gonna point and flex. And then we're going to lift up nice and tall through the spine and see if you can extend that leg. And if you can hold onto your big toe, definitely you can do that. Just flex the foot back, get that stretch up through the leg. One more big breath. And then we're going to bend that knee, let that leg go, give it a little shimmy, little shimmy. All right, so just notice how you feel. So we're going to stand up and do a little bit of standing balance work with our chair. Side your chair so you can hold on to the edge of it. I'm going to turn it this way just a little bit. We're going to pick up the outside leg and just swing it back and forth, however big a range of motion you can make, given your space requirements and your body. So I'm standing on one leg. Now, if I can do this without holding on to the chair, I do that, and then the chair's here if I lose my balance, right? So without holding or holding. One more. Okay, so then we're going to take this leg, it's still our standing leg. We're going to rotate it towards the chair a little bit. I'm going to use the top of my chair and I'm going to lift this leg up off the floor and see how far that goes. If I've got a little bigger range of motion in this hip, I can put my hand on the chair and then try to stretch into a half moon balance. For the full moon today, we'll call it a full moon balance. And stretch into it. Good. See if you can let go of the chair and then come down onto the floor with your foot and give everything a little bit of a shake. Whoa. Okay, so I'm going to come around the other way. Give myself a tiny bit more room. And then take the opposite leg up off the floor and swing it. Okay, if I can let go of the chair, I'm letting go of the chair. If I need it, it's there. Swing that leg back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. All right, turning towards the chair, making sure you're not going to knock over a plant or anything like that. You're going to take the leg up. Maybe you can put your hand on the chair seat. And then, see if you can get that balance. Reach out through your leg. Things might fall apart. If they do, you catch with your foot. Reach. Last breath. And then we're going to see if we can come back to the ground. Pretty straightforward. All right, so we're going to do a downward facing dog with the chair. So I'm going to use the chair seat to do this dog. Put your hands there. Walk yourself back. And then I'm pulling back, trying to let myself root into the chair a little bit. My arms are really close together so that my head just fits right between them. And that feels like the right spot for my shoulders. You might need a bigger shoulder position. So move your shoulder blades up and down, pull your hips back. This is a really nice version of the down dog. You can walk your feet back a little bit if you've got a little more room to spare. Oh, that feels good. Take 2 more breaths. And then we're going to walk back up to the chair. All right. Now, while we're here, we're going to try balancing by standing on our tiptoes. So you may not be able to see my feet, but I'm going to stand up on my tiptoes and come back down. So stand up on the tiptoes and come back down. If you fall forward, you're just going to catch yourself. Come back down. We're going to see if we can hold it a little longer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back down. Let's see if we can go for 10. Here we go. 10, 9, reach up through your heels. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming on down. Good. Shake everything. Shake out your arms. Shake out your legs. Hold on to the chair as you need. And then we're going to come back around to the chair and do some boat pose. So I'm going to show you this sideways so that you can see what I'm going to try. This chair is not very forgiving. The folding chairs that I have in the gyms are a little bit easier to do the boat pose. So you're going to lean back. So you're going to scooch right up to the edge of your chair, lean back into the chair, and then you're going to hug in your abs, okay? Then we're going to see if we can pick up one leg and the other, and then see if you can lift up off the back of your chair. So I've got some room, so I can do both. If you need to, keep one leg down, just do one leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then do the other leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now if you can do it, grab your big toes. Take this baby out wide and lift through your heart. The good news is if you get too roly-poly, you're going to wind up back in the chair. If your chair's not very sturdy, maybe this one isn't for you. I like it though. Take one more breath. And then we're going to come on back and let go. Okay. So I'm going to turn back around so I can face you. Oh. And then we will do one more little pose before we relax. Now, we're going to do a series of back shapes. So we're going to start with a cobra. So you're going to fold over your legs as much as you can. Give yourself a little bit of space so you have plenty of room to breathe. Put your palms on your thighs. We're going to inhale and arch the back. Now, here's the thing. I don't move my pelvis at all. Wherever my pelvis can go, stay there. All that's happening is we're moving the spine, okay? And the muscles that go with it. So you inhale, lift your chest, pull the elbows back, broaden across the chest like that cobra spreads out its hood, and then let yourself fold over your legs. Hands to the thighs, chair, cobra. So we're going to pull the elbows back, broaden out the chest. You don't have to tilt your head up, but you can. And then come on back down. Just make sure your neck is happy with you. We're going to do one more time. So come into that cobra, but now keeping this relationship the same, lifting really strongly. You're going to take your arms out. Maybe they go to the side. Maybe they can come by your ears. We're going to try to hold it for 10, 9. Keep that back working hard. If it feels like your low back is really getting crazy, bring your arms down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way back over. Whew. Now we're going to widen the knees out, and we're going to fold into this. Just let yourself fold forward as far as you can go. If your hands stay on your thighs, that's fine too. And then do a little side to side sway. Like you're made out of seaweed. And then when you're ready, you're going to roll yourself back up one vertebrae at a time. And the neck usually for me kind of comes together. Okay, now to relax, you can either just sit calmly like we did at the beginning, or if you're able to do, get down onto the floor, put your chair in a position so that you can lay down. You're going to lie down. I'm going to put my legs up over the edge of the chair like this. And for some, depending on the chair you've got, you might need a pillow under your hips or under your knees to get the spacing just right. But this is a really lovely version of legs up the wall. So maybe you don't have wall space at your house, but you could take a lie down in the dining room with your legs up over the chair. It's really nice. Snuggle your shoulder blades under you a little bit. Let your arms go as wide as they need to so that shoulder feels like it relaxes. Make sure it doesn't feel like you're causing any trouble for your low back. That should feel like a nice neutral position. Take a nice deep breath. Let go with a big ah. And do that twice more. Audibly sighing. Ah. That audible sigh helps our nervous system relax. Take one more. Big ah. And then just let yourself melt. Stay as long as you like. I like to aim for a couple of minutes to about 8 minutes. Usually about 8 minutes in, I start to find myself napping. But 5 feels like a good number, so if you want to, you could set a little timer so it'll wake you up if you fall asleep. So I'm going to leave you here, yogis. I'm going to come out of my pose here for a second and say goodbye to you, but you can stay in your pose. So thank you so much for joining me for chair yoga. Namaste.